It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Harvard University football equipment coordinator, VanDyke Jones. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to become a football equipment manager?
Well, it was a weird path for me. I started off as a player, then went to coaching, and then it got to a point in coaching. I was at Independence Community College with Jason Brown, and he sent me on a equipment conference kind of a deal. And then from there, I kind of said, this makes sense. And I've always been the guy that's loved the gear. I used to carry my own little swag bag to practice in games. So it all finally aligned that, hey, I like to dress well. I like all the gloves. I'm pretty interested in the helmet. So let me just run with this. And I'm kind of made that decision. And within about a month, I was at Wofford College.
That's amazing. Can you talk about, of course, being the director of football equipment at Wofford?
Yes. Well, it was a very, very fun experience. Wofford is a great place. Again, funny. All my situations are kind of funny how they work because I played at the Citadel, which is a rival to Wofford College. So my whole college career, I was taught, you hate Wofford. We never beat them at the Citadel while I was there. So I get there and I'm happy to have the job, but I'm kind of like, eh. But then the staff, Coach Mike Ayers, which is a legend, he just invited me with open arms. The whole staff, of course, they made fun because there are a lot of alumni on staff, but they just treated me really well. Players were great facilities. So it was a very fun experience. Got to meet a lot of different vendors and just try to work it out and trying to upgrade and make it my own, really.
What was the day-to-day like as being the director of football equipment?
So because it was just football, it could be slow at times. So getting in the morning around anywhere between 5 and 8 o'clock, depending on what I did the previous night. Make sure laundry's all set up and players are ready to get their laundry, their loops. Possibly be doing laundry, getting to meetings about what's going on for the next practice, doing a little bit of research here or there on different projects about what type of shoulder pads are new, the new helmets that's coming up, because Wofford was Adidas, what new Adidas cleats, kind of make some contacts, talk to reps. About 2 o'clock, start getting my student assistants to come in. Practice is about at 4, so about from 2 o'clock, be setting up the field for practice. And then about 4 o'clock, we're on the field rolling, practicing. And during practice, just making sure everything's going as smooth as possible. Then after practice, start washing the clothes, getting them back ready for the next day.
Can you talk about your experience so far at Harvard as the equipment coordinator?
It's been great. It's a little bit different type of setting. Spartanburg, South Carolina is different from Washington, D.C. We call it the Mecca around here. So just really getting in, came in kind of late, came in December. So just trying to get my feet set, getting everything ready for this spring season we start in February. So as we're getting everything ready, making sure we have what we need and just like getting ready for these games, getting ready for practices, meeting the players, getting to know the players, getting around the coaches while still keeping our social distance because of COVID and making sure everything's rolling. And I got a good, there's a great student assistant staff here that really kind of knows everything. So I'm just the face, they know everything else.
Can you talk about, of course, the responsibilities and roles as the equipment manager?
Yeah, so in my opinion, my responsibility is to make sure student athletes have their best experience possible. So, and because it's equipment, well, best experience possible through equipment. So you want to make sure they're in the best possible gear to keep them safe. But at the same time, you want to give them things and make sure it's stuff they like. So make sure they're kind of keeping up with the newest and the best and greatest, and just making sure that you make them feel great as student athletes. I've been working at two very academically based private schools. So the rigors of being a student can take its toll on these guys. So I want to make sure that when they come to football, it's all fun. They don't have to think about anything. So just taking the load off of everybody. So for games or practice, guys just walk in, their stuff's already ready, put it on, let's go play ball. Just make it easy.
What is the day-to-day like as an equipment manager for a practice and for games?
Okay. Practice is fairly simple. Luckily, I'm at smaller schools, so it's not a get 30 different people running around the whole place. At Howard, we have one practice field. Wofford, we had two. So it's really just setting everybody's position group stuff up, making sure you have chains for practice, make sure all the pads are ready, make sure the period clock is ready. That's the biggest deal for a practice, making sure that everybody knows what's going on with the scripts. For games, it's a lot. For games, it's more like a 2-day process. Setting up, I'm a big jersey on shoulder pads guy. Again, making sure the student athlete experience is pretty good. So our shoulder pads are already on by Friday for our players. Making sure the locker room is all set up clean. They have their cleats, their gloves. They get to come in before the game if they want anything else, like half sleeves, long sleeves, all that type of stuff, making sure they have as much as they want or what they need. Just so setting it up so it's a nice preview into. I usually try to make a nice little video for recruiting purposes. In game day, you're basically, it's a lot less setting up field wise, but you have to set up the headsets, which is a huge deal in college football. Make sure you have all your trunks on the sideline. Make sure like I said, make sure the headsets, everybody's able to talk. So just to make sure that, again, the game runs smooth. The best day for the equipment manager is when your name is never called. When nobody ever needs you, that means you had a great day. So just the whole time, you're just trying to fire or troubleshoot anything that could be a problem or eventually be a problem and try to take care of it way ahead of time.
Can you talk about, of course, the roles as the head equipment manager?
Okay. So like I said, the main role for me, making sure student athlete experience is great. And then also we provide all the gear for our student athletes. So jerseys, workout shorts, workout shirts, socks, gloves, cleats, shoulder pads, helmets, of course. And basically everything a player could use in a practice, workout, or running session, that's what we provide for them. And then also making sure that we provide orders and keeping track of the money, the budget. That's a huge deal, of course, because everybody wants to know where the money goes. So you just got to make sure you're keeping up and not overspending and try to be as cost effective as possible.
What is the biggest difference between an equipment manager and an equipment coordinator?
It's really more so where you go with titles. Different places have different titles. At Wofford, I was director of football equipment, so I only dealt with football. So it was set up in a hierarchy that I deal football, and then there's nobody really above me. Here at Howard, I have some ADs that are more above me in the organizational chart. So I'm a coordinator and I work with more than one sport. So and then managers usually very similarly work with more than one sport. So it's kind of very just fluid of what your organization uses.
As you worked with more than one sports at Howard, can you talk about the biggest difference between, of course, being a football equipment manager versus like somebody like a basketball or softball or baseball?
Of course, the equipment, that's a big difference. The other football is the most hands-on sport. So you have to be at every football practice, every football game. You're there with them just as much as the coaches are, almost, sometimes even more. The other sports, basketball, softball, is not so much. It's more so, honestly, you're doing their laundry, making sure their orders are prepped and everything. So it's a lot more hands off. But I mean, it kind of all depends on somebody's personality, if they want to be around, and it's kind of like that.
Can you talk about, of course, the process of ordering like the merchandise, such as like Nike, Under Armour, that kind of stuff? What goes on in that aspect?
So in a normal year, this year is kind of different because of COVID, and reps from those brands would come and they would basically meet and kind of show us the layout of what they have for that coming year. And this takes place usually about November, December. And that's when you get all your custom orders. They call it a booking order. It's all your custom. So if for Howard's a nice red or some red and blue type mix, at Wofford it was gold, just kind of things that are not readily available for everybody. So you'll get that and kind of pick through those type of things in November. You'll place an order. The way athletics works and colleges work, there's usually a fiscal year, usually ending around July or beginning around July. So you would build that thing. You have an invoice and everything billed for that July, even though you made your order in November. So you will start getting, if you ever look at social media, all the different schools start getting packages around June, July, because that's when their invoice cycle is. So it's basically order it in November, pay for it in July, June, July. And just like I said, it's a lot of research, kind of seeing what the coaches like. For me, what the coaches like, what the kids like, just trying to keep up and keep that and then how much you can spend, how much you can afford. So keeping that nice balance of, okay, we're gonna spend a lot on these, but we can't spend that much on that, and just always trying to stay up with the newest, latest, and the most safe thing for the student athlete.
Can you talk about, of course, I know like whenever it comes to colleges, most of the colleges have like a 4 to 5 year deal with like a company like Nike or Under Armour. When it comes to that, are there some times where like let's say Nike doesn't have like a particular shoe that your players might like, and you have to talk with them and be like, hey, we might have to go with Under Armour for this kind of shoe?
So that hasn't happened to me yet. So I haven't experienced that one. Sometimes kids that might have, so their foot, they might not be able to fit Under Armour cleats or Nike cleats in certain ways, but you kind of try to know that on the front end. And then as they come in as a freshman, so you can kind of work through those by kind of maybe taping up or unbranding the Nike logo, those type of things. Like in the NFL, a lot of guys wear different type of gloves and stuff like that, but you don't see, all you see is the NFL logo. You don't see the other logos. So like for us at Howard right now, Under Armour does not make a certain type of girdle we're trying to get. So we have to go through McDavid. Luckily, that's underneath the gear, so that's not something you see because it's a protective padding, so that it's not a big deal. And also, Under Armour buys their girdles from McDavid, and they have a partnership anyway. So it's just kind of talking to your rep, talking to the company, making sure that things are okay, trying to see if there's a best solution, and just trying to work things out. The two as a group, you and the rep and the company together, try to make the best thing happen for the student athlete.
As an equipment manager, most of the time, do you get the like merchandise last if there's anything left over?
So that just means no, because if you order right, you make sure you take care of yourself and everybody in there, that's your staff. But I will say it's kind of like, if you ever heard Kevin Garnett say players eat, have the little thing when he says players eat first, you got to make sure you take care of the guys that are doing most of the work. I wouldn't be here without student athletes. So I want to make sure my student athletes are always taken care of first, then coaches, and then myself. And just like that. So but at the same time, I always want to make sure when I make my orders so that, yes, I have a polo as well as everybody else. My student assistants also their thing. So I take big pride in making sure everybody's dressed well, everybody's dressed alike. So that means everybody has to have it.
What did you know? What did you not know before you started becoming an equipment manager?
Laundry and headsets. So I'm still learning all the chemicals and what this does this for the laundry, because nobody at home, you just put Tide or Gain or whatever into your little thing and let it go. With this, there's like 5 or 6 chemicals in 15-gallon drums. You have to watch this on this thing. You can't do this with that jersey. So that was something I had no clue and was not. I was able to do it, but I was not ready to really speak on it that much. And also the headsets. I was in junior college. We just used some normal portaphones. Once you get basically, because both the schools I was at afterwards are D1, it's Coach Com, and it's plugging this into a phone line, making sure this goes to this, and just it was a lot with the thought of the concept of it, but actually doing it is pretty simple. And I cannot talk anybody through it because I can just do it. But it's those two things, honestly. And then also I have just picked up ball prepping. So getting your balls mudded and everything, football's mudded and everything before you start playing. So those three things were not on my radar, and it's something I had to completely learn and understand. And I'm still learning the laundry part, especially. Headsets, I got a good sense, but again, I can't teach somebody as well. So those things I'm still trying to learn different people. I'm calling up different equipment managers, seeing what they do for their football prep and everything. So it's just those three are the three I really didn't have a clue as a player and a coach, because it just, you walk out and I've had good equipment managers, so you just walk out and things are just ready for you. So just trying to get those three things understood.
What advice would you give upcoming equipment managers looking to get started?
Get in it as early as you can. And also use this as a way to show your personality, and always take care of the players and let them see your personality. I know a lot of people kind of have had either great or bad experiences with equipment managers because either the equipment manager was just there to do a job. Luckily, I've had guys that were really personable. When I was at the Citadel, our head equipment manager, Kevin Yeager, with guys that couldn't go home, could eat with the Thanksgiving dinner with them, and just make those personal relationships and be in it for the athletes. And what I mean by showing your personality, I'm into style and everything like that. So I look at this as I'm the school stylist. So I'm making sure they look good in jerseys. They're gonna look good in travel suits when we pregame, all that. So just allowing my personality to show through. So for instance, at Wofford, because that's what I was able to do the most at so far, we put gold in everything, gold cleats, gold gloves, everything. So my personality, like you knew the product of being on the field was a product of me. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, make sure show your personality through your work. But I mean, it's a chance for you to never have to grow up. I'm working with a sports team. It's a game, but I enjoy it when you want to do anything else.
That's so amazing. Where can my listeners find, of course, the equipment managers on Twitter along with you?
Well, my Twitter got me on that one. I was not. So Howard has an equipment page. I'm still, like I said, I'm about a month in, and we haven't even did much with the equipment page. Wofford as well. So if you type in either probably Howard Equipment, Wofford Equipment, you'll find them both. My personal is equip_V_Jones. And that's, again, my personal, you'll find me. I love all sports. So you find different sports and music and stuff like that. And I mean, just go through and just type in different schools' equipment names, and you'll just give abundance of different things and different thoughts and see different ideas. And every school does something different, even though like Oregon and Alabama, both Nike schools, Oregon and Alabama do everything probably differently. There's so many different things and so many different styles and everything out there. So it just allows you to just see it and be taken back by it a little bit.
Thank you again for your interview, and best of luck at Hofford in this upcoming year.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.